faithfully sharing value and interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'm going to tell you about this fascinating book called Food Linguistics. It reinterprets everyday food through a linguistic lens. Ever wondered why Chinese cuisine doesn't really focus on desserts? How does a dish's name and description on a menu sway your choice? Why do the British say toast when cheering, like bread? And why is ketchup loved globally, rooted in Minnan dialect? Read this book to find out. Oh, you might be amazed to gain the power to decode restaurant menus, seeing food in a whole new light. The author is unique. Ren Xiaotang, a professor at Stanford in linguistics and computer science, linked to America's top prize for science geniuses, recipient of the MacArthur Genius Grant. This grant recognizes folks with amazing creative potential, only about 20 chosen yearly. This book, it's a brilliant work of creative research. Ren and his team analyzed data from 650,000 dishes across 6,500 menus in 7 U.S. cities. From ice cream to ketchup, across languages like English, French, Arabic, and Greek, they peeled back layers to reveal hidden menu language secrets. The book dives deep into the research highlights, and a course based on it quickly became one of Stanford's most popular gen ed courses. For Chinese readers, here's a cool bit. It's got strong ties to China, all thanks to Ren Xiaotong's name. You might think it's a Chinese name, but he's totally foreign. Turns out his wife is Chinese American, a biologist from Guangdong, so this super Chinese name likely comes from her. And, oh, you'll find plenty on this China connection in the book. Fresh takes on Chinese food culture, plus tons of recipes that'll feel like home. If you're into food, this book's an absolute must-read. But hey, even if you're not a foodie, you'll breeze right through it. Actually, whether you're into linguistics, social sciences, marketing, running restaurants, or anything food-related, you'll snag valuable knowledge from this book. Chatting casually over a meal can make for perfect conversation starters anytime. All right, next I'll dive into the main content of this book for you. This book is divided into 13 independent chapters. The first chapter teaches you how to read a menu. Then, from appetizers to desserts, it dissects all kinds of familiar foods like ketchup, cocktails, chips, salad, and pasta. We'll break it down into 4 parts. The first part is about how to analyze the language used in a menu. The second part explores the interesting historical clues hidden in food names. The third part is how the pronunciation of food affects our choices. What's the third part? It's the grammar of food cuisines.
From this perspective, why don't Chinese have desserts?
All right, let's start with the first part, how to analyze the language in a menu. Just by opening a menu or even flipping over a bag of chips to read the back, you're already immersed in the language of food, unconsciously influenced by it. In other words, how a restaurant describes a dish, even changing 1 or 2 words or adding a few, can drastically alter its price or perceived value. For example, on a high-end restaurant menu, a coffee is called Diablo Flame Coffee, made on the spot. In this description, Diablo, flame, and made on the spot are clear linguistic signals. So, Diablo means devil in Latin. There's a game called Diablo. Diablo coffee is an extremely bitter black coffee made with double espresso and a bit of decaf, meant to be gulped down for a quick energy boost. The flame part involves adding alcohol and a spark to create a burning visual effect.
But if the name was changed to freshly made hot alcohol espresso,
Would it feel different? Doesn't the latter clearly belong to a chain like Starbucks? Another example, a high-end restaurant in New York describes their breakfast as biscuits and gravy with eggs cooked any way you like. And this name, any way you like, is also a clear linguistic signal, including the formal address. Oh, if it was changed to biscuits and gravy with poached or scrambled eggs, would you feel differently? These 2 simple examples can already make you feel the power of language in food. The book's author analyzed tons of data and discovered 4 main linguistic techniques that add value to dishes. The first technique is highlighting origin and source. Whenever possible, adding descriptions of origin, the more specific and vivid, the better, helps spark customers' imagination. For example, a restaurant's main dish: herb roasted Elysian Fields farmland with green market cucumber and pine nut sauce. You'll notice this menu writer deeply values ingredient origins, even naming the farm and market. Elysian Fields. The farm emphasizes cattle raised happily in humane conditions, calves roaming outdoors, not confined, not force-fed daily just to bulk up for the plate. The underlying message: our beef is clearly superior. Same with green market, hinting that no environmentally harmful pesticides were used during growth. Such produce is clearly safer, healthier, and offers more natural, not artificial, flavors. When buying, people don't realize these layers. They've subconsciously linked green to good, healthy, and authentic. Even with higher prices, they gain a psychological satisfaction. Another familiar example: steak lovers see grass-fed beef priced higher in supermarkets. Grass-fed implies superiority over grain-fed. While this emphasizes feed source, it falls under the broader origin category. Add feeding methods like pasture-raised, and the beef sounds even more premium. Highlighting origin isn't the only technique. Restaurants combine multiple to suddenly shift your perception. The second common technique is frequent use of you, creating a sense of exclusivity. It often comes with phrases like your choice, your way, like the biscuits and gravy with eggs, cooked any way you like, we mentioned earlier. A more common customization to your liking is the doneness of your steak. Whether medium rare, medium, or well done, this makes diners feel ownership. This is my steak, cooked just how I want it. In Europe, another common choose-your-own customization features fixed main courses, but lets you pick between a signature salad or the soup of the day. You see, this actually combines multiple techniques, like adding signature before salads and soup of the day for soups. And
Really, isn't every restaurant salad their own signature salad?
whose soup isn't made daily? Yet these linguistic cues shape our sense of exclusivity. The third technique is lexical sophistication on menus. 50 years ago, many U.S. menus used lengthy French words, even adding French articles before dish names, for instance, to emphasize a dish's prestige and class. Data shows upscale restaurants used 5 times more French than budget ones. Today, French isn't the only option. Other foreign languages signal authenticity in cuisine. Surveys reveal upscale menus feature Italian, Spanish, Arabic, Greek, French, and Japanese terms, like doner kebab, pappardelle, oyakodon, and persillade, cold beef with parsley. Without foreign words, English has fancy, highbrow vocabulary, typically longer words. Polysyllabic words, often 11 or more letters, are rare, creating novelty and exclusivity. For example, side for side dishes, meaning beside, a dish beside the main. But upscale spots use 3 to 4 times longer words like accompaniments or complements for refinement. Studies show upscale menus average words half a letter longer than budget ones. Each long word in a dish description adds approximately 3 yen or 50 cents to the price. Oh, another linguistic trick is emphasizing a dish's exotic flair or special spices, subtly highlighting scarcity. Terms like exotic blend of Indian spices or marinated with traditional Eastern spices aim to inflate prices. Origin, fancy words, exotic touches, these boost value, but other language backfires. Here's a fascinating find. The vaguer the taste adjectives, the worse they perform. What are vague taste words? Think adjectives like delicious, tasty, mouth-watering, rich, crispy, golden brown, that kind of stuff. These hollow descriptors lack substance. Over-describing actually makes dishes seem cheaper. For example, a salad described as a deliciously rich and colorful mix, featuring crispy bacon bits, fresh crisp lettuce, tangy tomatoes, and blue cheese dressing. Sounds elaborate at first, but crisp veggies and tangy tomatoes, that's basic for any salad, right? The author notes, Such wordy yet empty menus dominate mid-priced restaurants. This adjective overuse stems from status anxiety. Upscale spots never say fresh or crispy. Customers already assume it. They expect freshness and crispiness as standard. So, adjective-heavy menus overcompensate, like nervously promising what should be obvious. The word real is a classic tell, like blueberry pancakes with real maple syrup. Rare in upscale menus since they don't need to prove authenticity. So the author says, if a menu's packed with crispy, intense, juicy, or chunky, skip it for that honest street side spot with a plain menu. All right, that covers the first part of the book. How to analyze menu language. Key techniques that add value include highlighting origin, source, frequent use of you for exclusivity, using sophisticated lengthy vocabulary and emphasizing exotic spices. Conversely, vague taste adjectives devalue dishes. Words like delicious, muffin, spicy, mouth-watering, rich, and over-emphatic real signal a mediocre restaurant. Now for the book's second main topic, how food names preserve history, featuring ketchup's origin and why we say toast when cheering. Food names actually hide their migration paths and evolution. Ketchup is a prime example. Cantonese speakers might think ketchup sounds like a direct transliteration. A ketch resembles zama and chelet, making ketchup close to zama chelet in Cantonese. But the real origin might shock you. It actually comes from Fujian's fish sauce, quite different from modern ketchup. How did this transformation happen? Here's the story. From the 14th to 18th centuries, Fujianese merchants settled in Southeast Asian ports, bringing their culinary traditions. They preserved fish or shrimp with salt, fermenting them into a rich sauce called fish sauce. In the 17th century, British and German traders in Asia sampled this flavor-packed condiment while buying silk, porcelain, and tea, and brought it back to Europe. Over centuries, it adapted to Western tastes, even replacing fish with mushrooms. By the 19th century, ketchup had many recipes. The tomato version became popular and reached America. There, Americans added their beloved sugar. Eventually, this tomato sauce with white sugar became America's national condiment, exported worldwide through KFC and McDonald's. Hearing this, you'll realize ketchup actually originated from Fujian, not Guangdong. So how does it sound similar to Cantonese? Actually, it's just a surface-level coincidence. Though ketch resembles Cantonese zoma tomato, we now know the original ketchup contained no tomatoes. Ketch comes from Minnan K, pickled fish, chop from Minnan chiap, sauce. Strange that ketchup has Minnan roots, huh? Next, we'll explore how seemingly odd food terms preserve historical eating habits. After ketchup, let's discuss another liquid, what we say when raising glasses. Toasts. While many cultures toast with phrases like to life, in English we say toast, which means bread? What's going on here? By today's standards, toast and alcohol seem unrelated. It pairs better with milk or coffee, a classic breakfast combo. Toast it, butter it, add jam, serve with coffee. Sounds perfect, but this pairing is purely modern. Before the 17th century, toast accompanied wine. In Shakespeare's play Falstaff says, "Fetch me a quart of sack, put a toast in it, toast with wine."
Might seem odd to us today.
Back then, it added solids to wine, like how we dunk toast in milk or coffee. And these wine-dipped toasts weren't plain, they were sweetened with herbs and sugar. A snack dipped together, creating unique flavors. Toast provided a soft, porous texture to absorb wine, plus sweetness. Earlier in the Middle Ages, people soaked toast in wine and soup, even naming this practice sop, to add warmth, flavor, and calories to broths and wines. This toast dipping tradition is still popular today. Order soup at a Western restaurant, and you'll get bread slices on the side. You dip bread in the soup. And the English word soup, its origin is the sop we mentioned, a term that evolved from describing the act of dipping to meaning the soup itself. What about toast and wine? By the 17th century, the toast and wine tradition faded. Then, British pubs developed a custom where whole tables drank to someone's health. Why drink to health? probably due to alcohol's antibacterial properties. Historical records show the honored person was often a lady. No one knows who first coined the term. Someone cleverly called her the toast, meaning she spiced up the male-dominated gathering like sweetened toast, enhanced wine. Since then, toast became widely used for cheers. All right, that wraps up part 2 of the book. Food offers unique clues to understand human history. Ketchup's ancestor is Fujian's fish sauce. Its name, ketchup, comes from Minnan, meaning pickled fish sauce. The British toast tradition stems from medieval wine-soaked sweetened bread, while toast dipping in soup remains popular. Even on modern tables, we've uncovered many hidden aspects of food language. Next up, how pronunciation affects perception. Now let's dive into part 3, how food sounds influence our senses. Some things just sound sweet when you hear them, like ice cream. Take ice cream versus cracker. Even if you don't know English, most people intuitively match cracker to crisp biscuits and cream to richness.
Exactly! Cracker sounds thin and crunchy, while cream feels fatty and dense. It's all in the phonetics. Exactly the sensation cream and ice cream gives.
Though linguistically speaking, pronunciation has some arbitrariness, meaning why something gets called a certain name in a language. Why book not table? There's conventional randomness, but ample evidence shows sound and taste are closely linked for foods. We call this sound meaning connection, sound symbolism. Understanding this helps see its crucial role in food marketing and branding. The author cites a NYU study where participants read about 2 ice creams, Fresh and Froge. They felt Froge seemed richer, thicker, and more likely to be bought. Let's examine why. Frosh uses a back vowel, O, mouth more open, sounds fuller. Fresh uses a front vowel, E, tongue high, mouth narrow, sounds thinner. Try saying both now, which feels richer to you. The study had some participants multitask while reading, distracting them. Results. Those distracted were even more influenced by the vowels. This means sound reactions are subconscious and instinctual. The author analyzed 81 ice cream and 592 cracker names. Patterns were queer. Ice cream names use more back vowels, like O. Cracker names feature front vowels, like A, though exceptions exist. Take mint ice cream. It uses front vowels because mint is a cool, thin ingredient. Or take peanut ice cream. Peanut fits because peanuts are tiny grains. Sound symbolism is a key tool for advertisers and brand designers. When you say a brand name, you're already influenced by its sounds. Try recalling your favorite chip brands versus chocolate brands. How they sound. You'll notice the difference immediately. If creating a new food brand, factor in sound too. All right, now for the final part, what is food grammar? From this perspective, why don't Chinese have desserts? This leads us to examine food through a broader system. The author coins cuisine grammar, borrowed from linguistics, to describe this. Grammar has rules. Violations feel odd, like saying I food eat instead of I eat food. For example, I eat rice is correct, but I rice eat breaks grammar rules. Cuisine grammar treats regional food as a language system, covering ingredients, combinations, and spice pairings. Take ketchup with fries. That's ingredient grammar. Swap it for soy sauce or vinegar with fries. Feels off. In Chinese cuisine, tomato egg stir fry makes sense, but tomato watermelon stir fry? That's dark cuisine. Grammar failure. Got it? Ingredient pairing is cuisine grammar, and so is meal structure, which brings us back to our opening question. Why no desserts in Chinese menus? You've probably guessed it's about cuisine grammar too. Since we're on desserts, let's trace their origins. In Western dining, dessert is essential. A proper meal isn't complete without it. No decent dessert? The meal feels unfinished. It's not just formality. Often the dessert is the restaurant's signature. Seasonal raspberry cake, chef's creme brulee, or almond jelly. So, where did this dessert tradition come from? Linguistically, dessert comes from French desservir, the opposite of servir. Servir means to serve in English, while desservir means clearing dishes implying something eaten after removing all courses. So dessert originally meant the final course. You might wonder, why is it sweet? Probably because sweet foods were thought to aid digestion after greasy meals. Since ancient Greece, people cleared tables post-meal for wine and sweets like fresh or dried fruits and nuts, proto-desserts. All right, now you know Western desserts originated as the final course. Exactly. Now, what's the final course in a Chinese meal? Usually soup or staple food, not dessert. You might argue, wait, China has desserts like Cantonese tong sui, but black sesame paste, guling jelly, or red bean soup are standalone snacks, not meal components. At some banquets, you might get sweet soups, like fermented rice soup, but it's different from cake or pudding desserts. This dessert absence shows in kitchens too. Ovens are standard in Western kitchens, but rare in Chinese homes. Here's why Chinese cuisine lacks desserts. Earlier, we said ingredient pairing and meal structure are grammar, but cooking methods are grammar too. Chinese cooking methods explain dessert's absence. Nearly all ingredients must be cooked, while raw dishes, like Western salads, disrupt this grammar. Even modern Chinese salads, dai denkain, feel non-traditional. Raw veggies were historically odd. Just like eating duck brains in the US, why does China have a cooked food tradition? In ancient times, cooking food symbolized civilization in China. But in modern times, hygiene became the main concern. Chinese don't drink untreated water, always boiled first, even if it's processed. Many still boil it out of habit. This totally differs from Western habits of drinking straight from the tap. So cooking is fundamental to Chinese culinary grammar. Think about it. Cantonese tong su and sweet soups are served hot, while Western desserts like cheesecake are cold. Heating it would ruin it. Same lettuce. Westerners eat salads raw. Chinese invented oyster sauce lettuce. Avoiding cold foods might explain dessert's absence in our grammar. The author concludes, combining flavors in unique ways is the foundation of cuisine formation. Within this grammar lies a nation's invisible cultural structure. That's food's true magic. That concludes the core content of food linguistics. Whether menu phrasing, dish naming, food sounds, or cuisine grammar, understanding these lets us rediscover wonder in everyday meals. As the author says, food language is a window into cultural exchange, in ancient or modern collisions between civilizations. It reveals hidden threads of human evolution. When you roast Thanksgiving turkey, toast newlyweds, or choose chips, you're speaking food language. All right, that's our exploration of food linguistics. Notes below. See you next time.